Hey friends, I hope that your new year is off to a great start and that your resolutions are still intact. If you're like me and you've resolved to eat a little bit more healthfully this year, today's recipe test is for you. So Bon Appetit published a countdown of their staff members' favorite recipes, and when I saw this broccoli Caesar salad, I knew that I had to give it a try. Caesar salad is my go-to salad when I eat at restaurants, but most restaurants are serving the same sad Caesar salad.
We should totally just stab Caesar!
Limp romaine, commercial industrialized salad dressing, and dry, low-quality Parmesan cheese. Looking through the ingredient list for this Caesar salad, I think it's going to resolve all of those issues, so I'm really excited to give this recipe a try. Let's see how it goes. I'd like to give a special shout out to user ooh-la-la for subscribing and commenting on my videos. If you'd like a shout out in a future video, leave a comment below letting me know how your New Year's resolutions are going. When juicing citrus fruits by hand, I find that it's best to kind of roll the fruit pressing down on a hard surface. This kind of breaks up all the juices inside and just makes it a lot easier to squeeze the juice out without using a contraption. However, you could also microwave the lemon briefly, and that will get the juices kind of flowing and make it a little bit easier to squeeze. If you have one of those kind of citrus press levers, this isn't necessary because those are doing the work for you. But I don't have one of those devices, so I find that this works just as well for me. So anchovies are optional in this dressing. However, I think that they're kind of one of the key flavors in a Caesar salad, so I definitely wanted to include them. Let me know in the comments below if you're for or against anchovies. So basically what you're gonna do is make an anchovy and garlic paste. So you're gonna finely chop both items and then gradually just kind of mash the knife down on the surface and drag it across. So it's gonna continue to get smoother and smoother every time you go, and then scrape it back into a pile and smooth it out again. So it does take just a couple minutes to get this to all kind of come together. You'll know when you're done because it'll be a homogeneous mixture. I have seen other people use coarse salt to kind of help speed up the paste making process. The downside to that is that it's very easy to get an overly salty end result. It's best to just try to avoid adding salt at this juncture and wait till you're combining all the ingredients to season it and give a taste to the whole thing. So I am grating fresh Parmesan cheese here. It's 100% worth it. Most pre-grated or pre-shredded cheeses are coated in either cornstarch or some anti-clumping agent so that they don't all stick together in either the tub or the bag. So my assumption is that those anti-clumping agents are going to prevent the cheese from emulsifying properly into the dressing. So definitely use freshly grated Parmesan cheese here. So this was actually my very first time making salad dressing from scratch, and it wasn't nearly as complicated and intimidating as I thought it would be. It's really just a matter of combining all of the prepped ingredients in a suitable mixing bowl and whisking to combine. As I was streaming the oil in, it seemed like an ungodly amount of oil, and I thought there's no way that this amount of oil is going to emulsify into this liquid. And when it all came together, it was so satisfying to see this really kind of thick and glossy, luxurious salad dressing that I had just made myself. So really excited about the process of making salad dressing. It seems like something that's doable going forward for sure. So as you cut the florets off, you want to leave as much stem intact as possible, and you're wanting the florets to be just bite-sized. So if anything's coming off and it's a little too big, break it in half by hand or kind of cut it down the middle with your knife. And then once you have all the florets removed, it's time to kind of prep the stems. So the outside of the broccoli stem is not only dry, but it's really kind of fibrous and tough. So just using a vegetable peeler, you just remove that. You'll know when you're done because there's a color change. So the very outside of the broccoli stem is kind of that pale green color. Once you get all that tough exterior off, it's more of like a, kind of like a very, very pale green, or maybe even almost like a white with a green tint to it. So when you see the color change, you know that you've gone far enough. The recipe did say to start at the stalk end and work your way down. So where we remove the florets is where we're gonna start. I did find that it was hard to get even slices from that end because everything's so kind of pokey and random and irregular. So it was hard to gauge where my slices were. So I do think the next time I make this, I'm gonna use my mandolin, and that way I'll just ensure that I'm getting really even slices from the stem end all the way to the thicker end. One thing that I did that the recipe didn't actually call for was some additional chopping of the broccoli stem. So when you're working your way from the flora end to the kind of woodier end, there's this kind of transition area where you've got really big diameter pieces, so you're not to that one kind of unified inch diameter stem. You've got all of those offshoots still, and so the pieces, as you're cutting crosswise, you're getting these really big discs that I was thinking, wouldn't fit in your mouth properly. So in that kind of transitional area, I did do a couple quick chops just to break those down and make them a little bit more manageable. So I definitely would recommend that to you as well, depending what your broccoli stalks look like. So you really just kind of cut the cabbage in quarters that exposes the really hard core, and you can just slice that off. You'll see that there's that texture change, and you just want to get all the really hard stuff out of there. So the recipe did say to cut the cabbage crosswise as well, and as I was doing this, I felt like the cabbage pieces were going to be a little bit too long, trying to think through what the eating experience would be like. So I did cut those in half just so that they would be more manageable bites. Use your best judgment, just think about what your bite size is going to be like and what will give you a really good eating experience, and then act accordingly. So then in a large mixing bowl, you're just adding the dressing and just tossing to combine. So traditionally in a restaurant setting, they will put the dressing in the bottom of the bowl and put the greens on top of that, and that just prevents you from getting any overly dressed pieces of lettuce. However, since I was massaging this by hand and combining, I felt like I would be able to feel whether one section was overdressed or underdressed, and I wasn't really too concerned. However, if you're mixing with tongs or something, I would say put the dressing in the bottom of the bowl and put the greens on top. And then that way, as you swirl, the greens will gradually pick up dressing from the bottom of the bowl, and it'll give you a more even coating. Once this is fully dressed, you do need to let it sit for about 10 minutes, and the recipe doesn't say why. I'm assuming it's because the broccoli and the cabbage are a little bit heartier, and this allows the flavors to kind of permeate into the greens a little bit more and take some of the really hard bite off of them. This salad did hold together very well for leftovers over the next couple days as well, so don't be concerned about dressing the entire salad at day one, because this did hold up. For me, I was eating it 3 days later, and it was just as good as day one. I was trying to think through whether or not I could use just one lemon in this recipe because we juiced one and didn't use the rind. However, when zesting citrus, it is best to zest the citrus into the final vessel because it kind of mists out essential oils while you're doing the zesting. So I did use 2 lemons for this recipe. One was for the juice only, and then one was for the zest. And this is the finished product. Okay, so the salad has been resting for 10 minutes, and this is what it looks like. Let's give it a taste. The texture is very crunchy, as you would expect from raw broccoli. The bright citrus flavor is really coming through. The greens in here really stand up to the Caesar dressing, versus a traditional Caesar is just kind of all about the dressing and nothing else. So it's nice that there's kind of the vegetables are actually a part of the flavor story here. I kind of wish there were more florets in the salad. I just think they're cute, and it's kind of fun to see them. So overall, really impressed with this broccoli Caesar salad. From start to finish, this was about 15 to 20 minutes, so it came together really fast. A little bit longer than just chopping up some romaine and tossing it with a store-bought dressing, but the quality of the flavor and the texture of this salad was so far superior to what I've had in the past that it makes it worth the while. I will 100% make this again. I would definitely recommend that you give this a try if you're looking to add more vegetables to your diet in the new year, or if you're just looking to spice up your Caesar salad game. The 2 modifications that I'm going to make for the next time I attempt this will be, first, using my mandolin to slice the broccoli stems, and 2, I'm going to include more broccoli florets. So probably 1 additional crown of florets chopped up. I just really like the aesthetic, and I like the extra crunch and kind of the darker green color. The salad had plenty of dressing to where I think an extra cup of florets won't really make a difference. Aside from that, the recipe was really easy to follow, not a lot of unique ingredients here, so very low risk. If you give it a try, please be sure to tag me in your post on Instagram. I would love to see how this worked out for you. And if you haven't already, now's a great time to subscribe. I'm going to be releasing a lot more Bon Appetit recipe tests in the new year. See you next week.